Have you ever played a grid-based dungeon crawler and wondered, wouldn't this be fun if it was World War II and I'm a Russian whose love for shovels and trenches is rivaled only by the most die-hard Kriegsmen? Well, wonder no more, as in Raskopnik The Trench Warrior you get just that. This game, all about trench warfare, is made by Wilderness Theory, a Siberian dev team, so that means we have the possibility of fresh Slav jank, the best kind of jank. Now the Steam page says it's due for release in 2022, so it'll either be coming out very soon, or staying in the trenches a bit longer. Either way, there's the demo and I gave it a few playthroughs. You command the Trench Warrior, and push through completing various objectives. There's only 2 levels so far, and the first shows off the basics. You move on a grid, and when confronted with an enemy, you have a few choices. You can get close and engage in melee, or shoot them. Both options can be narrowed to a specific body part. Center mass is the default, while headshots do 2 times damage, arms stop an attack, and leg shots stop them from moving. This is fine on paper, but so far it comes off more like a gimmick, as attempts at playing fancy ended up with some misses straight out of XCOM. Finally, you have grenades, which can clear entire rooms. Weapons consist of a Nagant revolver, a PPSH-41, MP-40 combat knife, Mosin Nagant, grenades, and most importantly, your shovel. Since you're already 6 feet down, nobody will mind if you dig a few blocks over. Got an MG nest block in the way? Dig through the dirt and flank them. You can also find supplies and gold this way, however be careful as sometimes there's mines below the ground or unexploded bombs above that will detonate if disturbed. You have a few tools like a mine detector or some anti-explosive suits, but I hadn't even realized I had a mine detector or that it was detecting until after I finished playing. Also, the whole strategic positioning thing wasn't an option all that much, in the demo anyways. The MG nest is basically scripted and most of the walls are not diggable. However, this is a demo, so I'd imagine this is just a slice of what to expect. I mean, the devs have shown off going above the trenches, but outside of one moment in the demo, you never do this. And not to the degree they've shown off on Twitter. You may have started questioning why is this World War II and not World War I, with how heavily trenches are used. I don't know what to say apart from they were still used, and this game is going to be alternative history. The Steam page does mention secret labs, and while the enemies in the demo are all rather plausible enemies, it makes me wonder just how close to Wolfenstein territory we are exactly. The game already looks great with traditional World War II style, and I can't wait to see what other horrors lie in the trenches. Maybe Ilsa, she-wolf of the SS, is lurking around here somewhere. Finally, there's the companions, of which 3 are shown off, but only 2 actually did anything. Private Alekin gave me access to a map that showed off the trench territory and most of the diggable paths that I could take. Corporal Ababov gave me access to the game's store, from which the player can use the gold they've picked up to buy all sorts of equipment, weapons, and supplies. The only one I didn't get my hands on was the disguise. I will say that it can feel a little cheap to be in a gunfight, then right in the middle stop and just top off my health with a few dozen helmet purchases. I suppose buying in bulk has its advantages. Oh, and side note, but I love how your guy's icon changes based on the damage and what equipment you have. Always been a sucker for this ever since I played Doom 2 on the Game Boy. Finally, there's Private Kabowski, who does nothing as far as I'm aware. All 3 have optional dialogue, which is restricted to the full game. There's actually a few choices, and supposedly they'll play out in the full release. Stuff like answering if your squad who got massacred at the start died as heroes or cowards. It was kinda neither. They kinda just got mowed down. The only other choice is with this random private who you can order back to the captain or tell to hold his position, but in 2 different ways. I'm not really sure how these differ, as the only difference is if you tell him to pull back to the captain, he'll be standing there at the end of the mission. So positives for this game is that it's enjoyable in just about every aspect. The negatives are just how limited stuff felt, and I really hope they open up come the full release. Also, an odd thing that kept happening to me was I'd be walking forward with my gun, and stop pressing W, but sometimes he seems to take an extra step on the grid. This would cause my weapon to fire into the wall or dirt. I honestly think it should be made so only your shovel is activated when facing a wall, so as to avoid wasting ammo like that, as it is a rather rare commodity. Staying on weapons, you have a nice selection, however there's not much differentiating them apart from damage and slight accuracy differences. I don't know if maybe you want to make it so some are better at scoring limb shots or something, like the Mosin is accurate at long range, but closer up the accuracy decreases. Just something to make the player worry a bit more than just damage numbers. One last thing I want to touch on is that the game is surprisingly humorous. It's over the top, clearly, but also has a few funny lines here and there. I hope this game sees a full release, but until then, I'll see you guys next time. Please like and share the video if you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, then subscribe, so maybe the next video will be to your liking. I'm gonna go dig a hole now. Have a good day.